You won't believe what happened next. A powerhouse wife and manager, the woman who could outstare any executive and outlast any storm, finally faced a blow no one could fix. If Sharon Osbourne and Ozzy Osbourne still live in your heart, tap that like button and drop a heart for them. Because tonight we're telling a story about love that refused to quit, even when time said otherwise. And if you've ever held someone together with your bare hands, this one's for you. How does a person learn to be unbreakable? For Sharon Osbourne, it didn't start with lullabies or soft landings. It started with slammed doors, sharp orders, and a house where power drowned out tenderness. Her father, the notorious music manager Don Arden, ruled rooms like a thunderclap. She learned early to read faces, broke her peace, and stand her ground, even when her legs shook. Her relationship with her mother, Hope Shaw, was complicated and often cold. A serious car accident left lasting scars on the family mood, and the warmth Sharon needed never really came back. So she found another gear: resilience. She trained in it like a language, the way other kids practiced piano. By the time she hit her late 20s, Sharon wasn't just tough, she was strategic. And that's exactly when she crossed paths with a man the industry had all but written off. Ozzy Osbourne, freshly out of Black Sabbath and drowning in addiction, looked like a cautionary tale. But Sharon saw more. She saw a wounded giant with a voice the world still needed. She didn't just stand beside him. She stepped in front, blocking, bargaining, building. That choice put her at war with her own family, and it cost her more than money. But she chose love over legacy, and once Sharon chooses, she doesn't blink. They married in 1982, and from that day on, Sharon wore 10 job titles at once: manager, wife, nurse, bodyguard, strategist, and when necessary, the baddest bad cop in rock. Those early solo years, they looked glamorous under the lights, but backstage was a battlefield. Rebuilding trust with labels, stitching together tours, hiding the chaos long enough for Ozzy to hit the next chorus. The brand, the myth, the merch, none of that springs fully formed. It's hammered into shape by someone who refuses to lose. For Ozzy, that was Sharon. Now, not every fight was public. One of the darkest nights of their marriage came in 1989, when addiction twisted Ozzy into a stranger, and a violent episode nearly cost Sharon her life. Police, shock, a cell, then rehab. The kind of night people pretend never happened, but they faced it. They told the truth. They did the work. Years later, both would talk about it with painful honesty: the danger of addiction, the damage it does, and the discipline it takes to claw your way back. That chapter didn't destroy them. It became the line in the sand they refused to cross again. The 2000s cracked the door wide open to a different kind of fame. A reality. Series placed the Osbourne home under a microscope and turned their private chaos into public consumption. Audiences couldn't look away. Sharon, sharp, funny, fierce, became the nation's unofficial tough love aunt. But let's be real, fame doesn't come free. Every fight becomes content, every tear a talking point. Still, the show made history, and it made Sharon a household name. When the cameras shut off, the family kept living. When the lights came back on, Sharon stepped into primetime judging seats and daytime talk, still fiery, still honest, and still willing to take the heat for saying what she thought. Then, life hit, where the spotlight can't protect you. In 2002, Sharon heard the word no one ever wants to hear: cancer. The plan was surgery and chemo. The reality was 1,000 tiny battles: hair on the pillowcase, bones that throb, sleep that won't come. And somehow she kept showing up, for work, for home, for fans who never saw her wipe her eyes before a taping. The scans revealed lymph node involvement. Still, she fought and survived. Later, after learning about her genetic risk, she made another choice most people wouldn't dare: a preventive double mastectomy. Not for image, for life. for more time with her family. That's Sharon. When the choices are brutal, she doesn't flinch. But fate wasn't finished. In 2003, Ozzy's near-fatal ATV crash rocked the family again. Surgery, ICU, waiting rooms, monitors that make you count breaths. Sharon was still weak from treatment, yet there she was, bed to bed, hour to hour, refusing to leave. Years later, when Ozzy spoke about those days, it was with gratitude and shame in the same breath. He knew he was being carried. Sharon knew it too. She didn't say it, she lived it. And still she built. With a pen in one hand and pure nerve in the other, Sharon turned a touring idea into a cultural force. A metal festival that gave young bands a stage and veterans a victory lap. She caught flack for being ruthless. That's fine. Empires don't assemble themselves. Whatever people called her, bands called her back. Because she delivered. In the 2010s, another public storm rolled in. A headline, a betrayal, a separation that nearly stuck. Sharon could have burned the bridge and walked away in victory. Instead, she did something harder. She demanded honesty, insisted on change, and with therapy and time, rebuilt the marriage. Not from naivete, from decision. Staying wasn't weakness. It was her choosing, again, what mattered most. That's a different kind of bravery. It's not cinematic, it's daily. It's the grind of forgiveness without losing yourself. Then came the blow that no strategy could deflect: health. In 2019, a bad fall unraveled Ozzy's spine, setting off a string of surgeries and setbacks. He was exhausted, frustrated, sometimes furious at a body that wouldn't cooperate. In 2020, he told the world he was living with Parkinsons. The touring monster who once swallowed cities could barely cross a room without help. And through all of it, Sharon stayed steady, interpreting medical jargon, making pain charts, pushing for second opinions, cutting through the noise to keep his dignity intact. She turned fragility into a kind of armor. If anyone had something cruel to say, they'd have to get past her. The pandemic hit like a scene change no one rehearsed for. Both got sick. Both feared the same thing. What if the other doesn't wake up? Sharon said later she wasn't afraid of dying. She was afraid of leaving him alone in the dark. That's the marriage in one sentence, not the tabloids version, the real one. Public life wasn't finished with her either. In 2021, a live TV clash spiraled into investigations, headlines, and her exit from a daytime panel. Overnight, the woman who'd mentored countless performers became a lightning rod for a national argument. She took the punch, stepped back, and, true to form, spoke plainly about what she learned and what she would do differently. Agree or disagree, Sharon doesn't dodge. She has the conversation, then she moves forward. Now, if this story ended with retreat, it wouldn't be Sharon's. Instead, she and Ozzy aimed at something impossible. One last roar. July 5th, 2025. Birmingham. The city where it began. A marathon benefit show called Back to the Beginning. Ozzy took the stage on a throne. Fragile, yes, but still crowned in defiance. And fans around the world felt the air change. He sang. He finished. The charities they chose, Parkinson's research and children's hospitals, got the kind of night that moves mountains. And in the wings, Sharon watched with her hands clasped tight, knowing she had built him a runway for the landing he wanted. A farewell made of thunder, not silence. 17 days later, the unthinkable became real. On July 22, 2025, Ozzy Osbourne died at 76, surrounded by family. His passing sent a shock through music and through homes that felt like they knew him. Statements poured in, tributes shook arenas. But in one quiet room, a woman held the hand she'd been holding for more than 4 decades and let go. She hadn't lost a legend. She'd lost her person. Funerals are loud on the outside and devastatingly silent on the inside. Cameras caught the procession, and the fans who turned up like it was one last encore. What the cameras didn't catch, how the house sounds when the laughter is gone. How a chair across a table can feel like an ocean. How the ritual of making tea becomes the daily proof that life keeps moving even when you don't want it to. So where is Sharon now? In the simplest answer, still here, still getting up, still making space for grief, instead of trying to outrun it. She spends more time at home in the countryside, family dinners, grandkids chasing each other down the hall, old home videos that make everyone laugh until someone starts to cry. She records when she has the strength. She tends the garden he loved. She eats cleaner, sleeps when she can, and keeps therapy appointments the way she kept tour schedules. Because strength for her is a routine, not a pose. Money headlines love big numbers, but Sharon's focus isn't on totals. It's on impact. Portions of the projects tied to Ozzy's legacy flow toward the causes they cared about, the same ones spotlighted at that final show. Research, hospitals, kids who need a break. She's transforming applause into help. She did that for decades in music. She's doing it now with memory. If you're wondering how she carried so much for so long, it's because Sharon Osbourne does not confuse strong with silent. When she's hurt, she says so. When she's wrong, she says so. When she's scared, she says so. And then she does the thing anyway. That's why artists listened when she talked deals. It's why contestants cared when she said, "You've got something." It's why Ozzy could lean on her without shame. She didn't erase his fragility, she defended it. And the truth is, Sharon was never just the iron backbone behind a rock icon. She was the architect of multiple comebacks, after firings, after scandals, after surgeries, after cancellations. She built a bridge every time and walked him, and sometimes dragged him, across it. She also built her own name, entirely separate from his. Books, judging, hosting, producing, managing. People either loved her fire or learned not to stand in its way. That's fine. She wasn't applying for permission. You might ask, how do you forgive like that? How do you keep choosing the same person after public humiliation, after private heartbreak? Because forgiveness, to Sharon, wasn't pretending nothing happened. It was drawing a line and saying, we do not step over this again. It was therapy, boundaries, and work, lots of work. It was choosing the family they built over the opinions of people who don't know their mornings and midnights. And you might ask one more question. Did Ozzy know? He did. In the quiet between surgeries, he told her he was sorry that she had to carry him. She told him the one answer that ever mattered. We fight this together or not at all. That's the sound of a vow kept. The story of Sharon Osbourne doesn't tie itself into a neat bow. She grew up in a house where kindness was scarce, and she chose to make a different kind of home. She lived a marriage that stumbled, then steadied, then stumbled again, and she chose to keep walking. She faced cancer head-on, then made a life-saving choice before danger arrived. She lost the man she loved after giving him the farewell he asked for, and still she gets up, waters the flowers, and keeps the echo alive. If you remember nothing else, remember this. The loudest thing about Ozzy Osbourne was always the roar. The loudest thing about Sharon Osbourne is the refusal to let silence win. She once turned a broken moment into a career reborn. Now she's turning grief into legacy, support for the sick, tools for the young, and a permanent reminder that even when the body fails, dignity does not have to. So to everyone watching, especially the ones carrying more than anyone knows, here's your takeaway. Strength isn't never falling. It's rising with the bruise still showing. Love isn't soft music and filtered photos. It's paperwork, phone calls at 3 a.m., hard conversations, and the choice to stay when the wind shoves you toward the door. And legacy isn't a statue or a plaque. It's the way your story keeps other people standing when their knees buckle. If this moved you, If Sharon's courage or Ozzy's last blazing bow made you feel something, drop a like, leave a heart, and tell me your favorite memory or song in the comments. Share this with someone who needs proof that love can hold when everything else breaks. And as always, if you want more true stories told with heart, hit subscribe. We'll keep the echo alive together.